Try and stay away from red meat. I love steak. Flat white an hour after I've woken up. A Red Bull when everyone else is having their pre-match meal.
And you notice that almost straight away from putting them on?
Yeah. I don't eat on a game day, so I tend to rely heavily on caffeine.
Interesting. Don't eat at all?
Yeah.
So what? Even at like 3 o'clock?
If a 3 o'clock game, I won't. The last thing I'll eat in is the night before.
Is the spag bowl?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just a thing I've done. It seems to work for me. I never feel like I suffer energy wise. It's just I can never risk feeling bloated going into a game. I've been there before and it's horrible.
Yeah.
There's not a worse place in the world. So,
what do the nutritionists say to that?
Oh, it's a disaster for them. They hate it. They hate it. But it's the only thing I really put my foot down on. Like this medicinally, it's probably wrong, and nutritionally, it's wrong in every sense of the word. But I just put my foot down on that. So it's Haribo's and caffeine for me all day, which is pretty taxing. So by the time I get into bed, I'm like potentially wired from the adrenaline, but also like suffering a little bit from this mental caffeine come down sort of. And I've also felt like I've been hit by a bus. So it's kind of a number of different things. And then the mental, emotional side, like I really struggle with like falling asleep and not reliving every moment of the game.
Yeah.
And I don't watch the game until the day after because emotionally I can't detach from the result until that. So yeah, it's a big struggle of mine, and it's something that I will probably suffer with until I stop playing. But as long as I can quickly get back into a routine the morning after, I feel like I'm okay with suffering one night a week.
And are those sort of evening rituals, is that fairly established with assuming it's not a game day and you've had a late match?
Yeah. So very much so. So we're talking about what I do before bed. I don't eat late. I eat very early. I try to eat around 6:30.
Okay.
Try and stay away from red meat. I love steak. It's a real issue. And the only time I have red meat is the night before a game. It's a pre-ritual of mine. I always have spaghetti bolognese.
Oh, that's amazing.
That's my only time. But I think I love steak. I love fish. I've loved like the process of cooking. So it's all about trying to unwind from that. So 6:30 I'll eat. Gives myself the best time to, like you say, digest that. I'm blue light blocking glasses from about 2 hours before bed. And I tend to try to get into bed for about 9:30.
Okay.
Having done all, other bits and bobs. So I get into bed 9:30, try and read for half an hour, having taken those supplements. And honestly, by 15 minutes into reading, I'm struggling to keep my eyes open. That's a good sign that I'm pretty much ready for bed.
Entirely. And what we see with your sleep is it's undisturbed. So often we find people who are sort of, their sleep isn't a constant block of green. Mm-hmm. When we look at yours, it's a constant block of the highest volume of parasympathetic engagement imaginable. That is deep and rich recovery, which to a certain extent you can only get there if you've asked your body a demand during the day.
Yeah.
So we through physical activity, we build something called sleep pressure, and your pressure is helping you go into, again, we haven't got sleep cycles here, but that is unequivocally deep restorative sleep. And that's a big change, obviously, since you brought in some of these supplements. Definitely. Anything else so the blue light glasses is interesting. With blue light glasses, clearly the logic there is the light from devices, TVs, suppresses melatonin, and that could inhibit your ability to fall asleep and go into deep sleep. When you've got the blue light glasses on, would you still continue to check social media? Would you do you change your behavior?
I'll still watch TV. I try to turn my phone off. And like I said, but the moment I start reading, I've set my alarm, I've turned my phone on silent. Yeah. I'm in bed. I'm
the big one.
I'm for all intents and purposes asleep in everyone else's eyes, so won't be contactable. I mean, I don't know what it is as well. The blue light blocking glasses I've got, it makes me feel real drowsy. Like it like kind of tints all the light, and it's lovely. So it's a big thing for me.
So, and you notice that almost straight away from putting them on.
Yeah.
I think some people pop them on and then trying to continue to watch a sort of Netflix horror film.
Yeah, if you do that, then you are going to struggle. But yeah, like I said, I'm not a big series watcher. I tend to watch whatever's on. I'm sports mad, so try and watch something like that.
Your great-grandparents got something from drinking water that you probably don't. Over the last century, we've made water safer to drink, on the whole, but something has been lost in the process. Natural water sources once provided essential minerals that our bodies evolved with over thousands of years. Today's water, even premium bottled source water, contains 78% fewer minerals than it did just a century ago. In fact, you'd have to drink 1.5 bathtubs to replenish the minerals that you lose in a litre of sweat. So if you think your water is hydrating you optimally, think again. Pure Sport, a company that I personally trust and use, solves this problem for high performers through their ultra electrolytes, a science-backed ratio of electrolytes in one single sachet. Optimize your hydration and leave the bath for bathing. Use our exclusive discount code EE10 at www.puresport.co for 10% off.
I'm a caffeine a flat white an hour after I've woken up. I then sip on these carb drinks, which is like they've got a lot of carbs in that you might get from food. Now, not ideal, but it's a carb drink nevertheless.
Okay.
Which is fine.
Do you know the grams of carbs you take in that period of time?
Too much. It's almost like a thick, gloopy fluid by that point. Probably too much. So I'm on that all day, and then I'm having a Red Bull when everyone else is having their pre-match meal, which is about 3.5 hours before game.
Wow.
A Red Bull just after the warm-up.
Yep.
And all the while I'm chewing on Haribos. It's disgusting. And then at half-time I'm having another Red Bull with an energy carb gel. So I'm 2 flat whites deep and 3 Red Bulls by the time I finish the game, which is
incredible.
Awful, and but it's something that works.
Well, enormously works. And, again, the performance is the out. So, the thing is, you can retrofit this. This can become your model. Suddenly.
Yeah, it's fine. I'll trademark it.
Yeah, exactly. The Haribo.
Yeah, the Haribo Red Bull
axis. But I think, does that volume of caffeine not create a sort of a performance anxiety? Does it not ripple into that?
Definitely. And I think anyone who's played elite sport, the worst moment is the bit just before you go out, just before you go into your arena, whatever that may be, whether that's the rugby pitch, the basketball court, whatever. It's the worst moment because you're about to put yourself in somewhere where you shouldn't physically go.
Yes.
Emotionally, you shouldn't go there. And you have all this, if I'm honest, I feel a lot of fear before that moment because I don't know, you're stepping into an unknown, no game's ever the same.
Yeah.
It's different to going to the office and sitting at a laptop and doing your work. It's different to that. So the anxiety is already pretty high. So I think I can't make it any worse. And I guess I would almost be more anxious if I didn't have that to fall back on, which is crazy, but it's something that I do.
It's worked.
I think
that's
hopefully
amazing,
it continues
man.
to work. Yeah,
so good. And again, on that night, clearly, the half-life of caffeine will still be in your system.
Yeah.
Plus the game adrenaline, plus those ruminating thoughts. But 1 9 out of 7.
Yeah, exactly.
And again, based on the fact, this isn't a well-being program. This is a performance program, and on that particular day specifically.
Yeah.
And what we've got here is that ability to say that your baseline is so strong that you get the opportunity to stretch that elastic band, if you like.
Yeah, I try to. And I guess it's, if I've got things I can fall back on, so if I know that I'm going to put all this time, energy, resources into trying to recover in the week, I allow myself the hell that I put myself through on the Saturday so that I can crack on with everything else in the week.